Ladies and gentlemen, I have some unfortunate news from the world of entertainment. The Writers Guild of America has voted unanimously to call a strike effective Tuesday, May 2nd. This marks the first WGA strike in 15 years. And what is my initial reaction to this news? Oh no, we're gonna get some really bad movies now. Oh wait.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
One of the biggest early casualties of the writer's strike has been that SNL has shut down, and Pete Davidson's hosting episode has been officially cancelled. And all I can say to that is the TV gods work in mysterious ways. This is proof that this writer's strike just keeps getting better and better.
My luck's changing for the better every day.
All jokes aside about terrible TV shows and movies being cancelled, I do think that it's important for writers to be properly compensated for their contributions to entertainment. I myself write from time to time, so I can understand what it must be like to be in this type of situation. Apparently, some of the issues that have caused this strike include writers wanting residuals from streaming content. And yes, unfortunately, streaming is the present and future of this industry. In fact, there are protesters picketing outside of Netflix offices as we speak. After all, Netflix is the #1 streaming service and the #1 producer of mediocre content.
Get what you deserve!
We all know that Netflix has a quantity over quality business model. They will greenlight just about anything, all in an effort to justify their ever-increasing subscription fees. When it gets right down to it, Netflix, as well as these other streaming services, have created a situation where there's almost too much content.
Stop it!
And yes, that means a lot of shows and movies get lost in the shuffle. The other day I came across this show on Netflix that had like 10 seasons, and I had never even heard of it before. But apparently it did well enough to justify making 10 seasons of it. And I think the writers of that show should be properly compensated for it. The issue for a lot of people like myself, and this goes for streaming content as well as theatrical releases, is that a lot of this content or a lot of these movies just aren't very good.
That's right, it stinks!
Now, could this be the result of writers just not being that talented anymore? Possibly. Almost every single modern movie I watch has the most unrealistic dialogue and the most generic plot imaginable. Or they're being bogged down by poorly written self-insert characters or heavy-handed messaging.
Message!
Every single story you've ever watched or read has started with an idea, with someone putting pen to paper, or fingers to keys. So yes, the whole process does start with them. You need a script before you do anything. But I'm gonna stick up for them just this one time and play a little bit of devil's advocate. What if a lot of these writers are being forced to write under unrealistic deadlines? We all know that a lot of movies have release dates before they even have scripts. And to me, that's a problem at the studio level, not at a writing level. Now, I'm not saying that every modern writer would be out here writing masterpieces if they were given an appropriate amount of time. But what I am saying is that a lot of movies from the past that we love came to be much more organically than movies do today.
No shit.
A lot of these movies were written, rewritten, and maybe even rewritten again. Some writers and directors even make alterations to the scripts mid-shooting, because the vision would change for the better the deeper they got into filming. Now, of course, there's no absolutes. You have situations with movies like Rocky that were written in a relatively short amount of time.
Don't get mentally irregular.
It's a free country.
Just don't get irregular, alright?
But the point I'm trying to make is that movies from the past weren't created under such strict guidelines as they are now. A lot of them came to fruition very naturally, and the end product reflected that. And in this era of quantity over quality, writers don't have that privilege. So it would make sense that the quality of their writing would suffer in that situation.
That makes sense.
Here's a quote I found on Twitter from Adam Conover, who said, quote, "We're fighting to stop the streamers and studios from turning writing from a career into a gig. They're trying to take away our jobs and employ us one day a week like we are Uber drivers." Does that not sound like an extension of what I was just talking about? Streaming and studios using writers on a day-to-day process to write and rewrite on a whim. How are you supposed to write coherent and quality material under those conditions? It is almost an impossible feat.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And that is probably why a lot of modern movies turn out the way that they do. I hate to say that I told you so. I know a lot of people like to dismiss my criticisms as just being hate. But you have Hollywood people once again all but confirming what I've been saying. And that's that they are not executing the movie making process in the most efficient manner. Let me put on my surprised face.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
And just to piggyback off my AI movies video that I did just a couple of days ago, apparently included within the rejected deal was a regulation on AI generated scripts. The WGA proposed that AI can't write or rewrite literary material and can't be used as source material. I found this tweet further expanding upon the concern around AI scripts. The immediate fear of AI isn't that us writers will have our work replaced by artificially generated content. It's that we will be underpaid to rewrite that trash into something we could have done better from the start. And apparently, this is what the studios wanted.
I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise!
Of course they do, because it's cheaper and it speeds up the process of writing a film. So they can achieve their end goal and release it as quickly as possible. And they will use and abuse real writers just to fine-tune those AI scripts. Further proof, once again, of something that I say all the time, it's that studios do not value artistic freedom.
You're not really listening to me, are you? I could say anything right now, like, you're a complete tool.
Or that they just don't trust modern writers to meet the requirements and deadlines that they put forward. Either way, this reinforces once again something that I say on this channel all the time. Most modern movies come off as very soulless and lazy. And apparently Hollywood, who has unlimited resources to create anything they want, wants to double down on that process.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
When are people going to wake up and see that movies could be so much better if people started to hold these studios and streaming services accountable? So kudos to these writers for at least partially holding them responsible for their actions. After all, change does have to start somewhere. My hope is that this time away, this strike will cause a reset in Hollywood that it desperately needs. It will give everyone the opportunity to take a long, hard look at themselves and their process when making movies.
Cowards do that and that ain't you! You're better than that!
And maybe once this is all over, you can get back to making quality projects again. And again, I'm not holding my breath that this will actually happen, but everything I do and say here is just based around me wanting better for this art form that I love. What will probably actually happen is that this whole thing will be resolved, and they'll go back to doing the same shit that they were doing prior to it. But hey, a guy can dream, right?
Y'all be cool. Right on.